Good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm sure you will learn a lot from tonight's presentation. My name is Jennifer Bernsteel, and I'm the Program Manager at the Business and Education Partnership of Waterloo Region. We're a local charity that helps young people in our community explore and experience careers. I would like to start with the land recognition. We would like to acknowledge that the land on which we gather today is the land traditionally used by the Haudenosaunee, Anishinaabe, and Neutral people. We also acknowledge the enduring presence and deep traditional knowledge, laws, and philosophies of the Indigenous peoples with whom we share this land today. We would also like to thank both school boards, the Waterloo Catholic District Region School Board and the Waterloo Regional District School Board, for co-hosting this event with us. Our goal is to help you better understand career opportunities in the skilled trades and how interested students can explore these options while they are still in high school. Our event will have 3 parts. First, we will start with our feature presentation by Dr. Jon Callegher, Executive Director of Job Talks, a research and media agency that focuses on Canadian workers. Jon is on a mission to ensure that every student is aware of the personal, emotional, health, security, and financial benefits of skilled trades careers. Next, we will follow with a joint presentation about how OYAP works from Leonard Bombaco, Student Achievement Consultant with the Waterloo Catholic District School Board, and David Pope, OYAP Coordinator for the Waterloo Region District School Board. Finally, you will have an opportunity to ask questions. For privacy issues, your video and audio will be turned off throughout the presentation, but you can begin typing your questions in any time through the Q&A feature on Zoom. Please keep your questions general. You can always take any information you learn after tonight back to your school guidance counselors as well, or reach out to our guests with the contact information at the end. So without further ado, I would like to invite Dr. Jon Callegher to join me on camera. Hello, Jon. Jon is on a mission to share his research about job satisfaction in the skilled trades in an age where such jobs are in high demand. Jon is the Executive Director of Job Talks, a research and media agency that focuses on skilled trades workers. And as a leading researcher of job satisfaction in Canada, Dr. Callegher has interviewed hundreds of tradespeople and surveyed thousands of workers. He has been the project director for more than $1.5 million in research partnerships. Jon is also a professor in the School of Marketing at George Brown College in Toronto and has a PhD in sociology from the University of Waterloo. He is a professional keynote speaker who has discussed his research on the radio, television, and conferences internationally, and is published in the Globe and Mail and a published author. We're very privileged to have Jon here tonight, so thank you, Jon. We look forward to your presentation.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. It's an honor to be here. Thanks, Lenny and David as well from the Catholic and Public boards. Really looking forward to hearing from you when I'm finished. I'm really honored, everyone, that you would spend some time in your evening with me, parents, and maybe some parents that also happen to be accompanied by your children. My message today is really aimed at talking to parents and caregivers in the Waterloo region. And also, as mentioned, I think while I am the keynote, think of me also as the warm-up also for Lenny and Dave, who are your regional experts in Waterloo. So with that, I'm going to have some help from some slides, everyone. You're going to see them on your screen in a moment. Should be appearing there. It says what Waterloo Region parents need to know about careers in the skilled trades. As a researcher, as someone who is very curious about employment and who has studied people in all kinds of jobs for many years, a researcher starts off with what's called a research question. And for me, being very focused on employment, this was my research question. Might be a familiar one to you. Everybody wants a good job, right, parents? What's your answer to that question? What makes a good job? I want you to think about how you would answer that question. Because I asked the same question to about 500 Ontario parents, and this is how 500 parents in Ontario responded to this question: what makes a good job? A good job to parents in Ontario is one where someone can make a difference, where they have advancement opportunities, where they have security, flexibility, low stress, good culture, work-life balance, benefits, right? But when it comes down to it, everyone, in the end, a good job for parents is one that, hey, it pays well and is fulfilling. What I really like about a word cloud is not just what you see on the screen, but what's not on the screen. And what you don't see on the screen, parents, is any particular job. Isn't that interesting? You don't see university, you don't see college, you don't see apprenticeship for that matter. In the end, ultimately, what parents want for themselves and for their kids is to have a job that pays well and makes someone happy. So, with that, I'm going to be focusing on many benefits of skilled trades careers. But ahead of that, I also want to share with you some concerns I have about young workers today. You know, I do teach, as Jennifer mentioned, at a college in downtown Toronto, and I talk with many people who go on to graduate either from college or university. And I hear back from them, and there are many challenges that are facing our younger workers today. And I think it's worth putting a few of these on the table because some of you might have seen these in young adults in your life. We have, for sure, a group of younger workers who are motivated. They want to make a difference. They're good people. All of that's good news for sure. But also, we have some things that we should be paying attention to, more screen time than ever before. And some of you parents can even relate to that. Maybe as you're making dinner at the dinner table and you're logging on to work on an internet connected device. We have more and more young people required to be on a screen. And at one point before TikTok, I think it was 144 times a day. That's how many times young people were checking their screens. That was before TikTok. Can you imagine how many it is now? And while that's a concern for our current young workers, let's not forget that it starts at a young age. And we're seeing that today. And I think that's a real concern. In fact, recently I've just seen on the news, we have the United States, the land of the free, right? We have more and more states really considering banning the use of phones in schools among children. That's where we're at now. It is a serious concern and it's starting young. What else are we concerned with among younger workers today? Well, they are sitting more than ever. You can Google a phrase, sitting is the new smoking. I'll say it again. Sitting is the new smoking. You're going to find yourself brought to all kinds of articles, making the very real connection, everybody, between prolonged sitting and increased risk of heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, and more. How can it go any other way? We don't need to be a medical doctor to know that this is the case. And yet more and more jobs, as we all know, involve more and more sitting in front of screens. And of course, it's starting with our younger kids as well. Younger and younger, COVID-19 proved that a way to make money in education is for sure to have online learning. So that is not going anywhere in college and university courses for sure, and increasingly in elementary school and high school. And lastly, everyone, despite the fact that we are more connected than ever thanks to our internet connected devices, we are seeing more reports of loneliness and isolation among our young people. And of course, that starts at a young age as well. When you see other people living their lives and you are more isolated at home, young people are spending more time indoors instead of playing outside. All of these things are concerning, but they're also starting at a younger age. So when you ask yourself, what's the antidote to this loneliness, this sense of being alone and also sitting all the time and also being in front of a screen all the time, considering that we spend so many hours of our day in our adult lives at work, the antidote can lie in one's choice of work. And one area that I think we should be paying more and more attention to is the skilled trades. And I have had the honor, as Jennifer mentioned at the beginning, to have studied in a survey format, hundreds, or rather thousands of tradespeople, but also interviewing hundreds of workers face to face. And I can say over the last 6 or 7 years of doing this, the patterns are very clear that skilled tradespeople are some of the most intelligent people that I've ever met. They're also very disciplined in their crafts, and as a result, they are problem solvers. They can be creative, but really interesting and maybe surprising to some parents watching today. They're also very, very happy in their careers. How do I know that? Well, it's because I've studied thousands of Canadian workers in all kinds of jobs and seen how skilled tradespeople stand out. I'm going to briefly walk you through that because I want to stand by these claims. So I did a study of Canadian workers in all kinds of jobs. And parents, if you have a job currently and you want to think about the job that you're currently in, I want you to think about whether a statement that I'm about to show you is true for you or partly true or not true at all. I'm just going to give you some samples of statements that I showed Canadians in all kinds of jobs. We have, I like having the freedom to make my own decisions at work. True for me, partly true, not true at all. If you're a parent, play along. Think about your job. I think my job is cool. My work brings me peace of mind. Doing my job makes me truly happy. Again, true for me, partly true, not true at all. Most days, I find my work interesting. I feel a special bond with other people in my field. I like that I can be myself at work. Okay. Hard work pays off in my field. We also asked about negatives. My job is much too stressful. Maybe you know someone who said this. Hopefully, a parent, you haven't said this, but it's possible. If it wasn't for the money, I would quit my job tomorrow. Okay. So when you show these statements, everyone, and 40 more to Canadians in all kinds of jobs, what a researcher looks for are patterns, right? Patterns. And these are how the patterns sort of work themselves out. We have 5 groups here of the Canadian workforce based on how Canadians in all kinds of jobs respond to those 50 statements. You can see we have a group there we call square pegs at 11%, bottom rungers at 26%, musketeers at 15%, the comfortable at 21%, and fulfill at 27%. What I want to do is just briefly walk you through each slice of the pie so you can see how each group is different from each other. But I'll also say there are always exceptions. Of course, there are always exceptions, but there are these important differences between these groups that I think we should put on the table. Let's start with the, unfortunately, least happy group here, square pegs. Square peg in a round hole, you know that phrase. Those who feel like, frankly, they don't fit. It's just a job. Their education and work are not aligned. Less sense of meaning, more likely to be unmotivated and unhappy. Everyone, it's not good news, to be honest, but it is reality for about 11% of the Canadian workforce, square pegs, and we hope they'll move to more happier groups in the future. Then we have that group called bottom rungers, where someday we have our future leaders, our young workers for sure. We find bottom rungers in all kinds of jobs. They are outgoing and engaged. They are impatient and frustrated, though, in certain types of jobs, in particular when they are craving a mentor and they don't have one. Young workers, and it may not surprise you, want to advance, right? They want to grow in their career. They want to make more money, better benefits, and so forth. And not every job, parents, you can relate to this, come with a mentor to help you and guide you. You have to ask for help often to get some kind of guidance, and young people are craving mentorship. So we had square pegs, bottom rungers, and now we have musketeers, all for one, one for all. If you're a parent or if you know someone who works in the healthcare industry, my mom was a nurse's aide. She worked in a hospital. She'd be an example of a musketeer, people whose jobs involve working with other people, pleasing others, you could say, helping others, putting other people first. Very noble, very necessary, very important, but also, as it turns out, stressful too, right? And so our musketeers have to put practices in place to keep that stress from turning into burnout, but they also have a solidarity with their colleagues. They feel close to their coworkers, and that helps them look forward to going into work, even if, yeah, it's a high stress environment. So we had square pegs, bottom rungers, musketeers, and here's the group, everyone, that surprised a lot of people. It might even surprise some parents watching here today. And maybe your mindset's going to change after you're finished hearing from me. The comfortable, a group of workers that are more likely here to say, don't mess with a good thing. They have work-life balance. They're not at the dinner table logging back into work on an internet-connected device or logging into work on the evening or on the weekend are on vacation. It's not work-life balance when you're working all the time. Many happen to be in skilled trades careers. They're also at a younger age settling down early. What do I mean by that? Buying homes, buying condos, buying vehicles, starting families, going on vacations earlier in life. Why? Because they can afford to, right? They start making really good money at an early age. And as I'll talk a little bit about later on, they don't have crushing tuition debt in their early 20s. So they make other types of investments in their adulthood, which is something that I know a lot of people wish that they could say. So very happy group here. Might surprise some of you, right? We'll say more about them soon. Just the other happy group here. This is educators, and I'm going to come back to educators in a moment. But just before that, I want you to see something really interesting I wanted to pull out for all of you, and that's how skilled tradespeople compare to the rest of Canadian workers, right? So on the left are some more statements there, and in the middle is how tradespeople responded true for me compared to Canadians in other types of jobs and how they responded true for me. Most days, I feel like I put in an honest day's work. More than almost three quarters of skilled tradespeople say true for me compared to 2/3 of Canadians in other jobs. My work gives me a sense of success and achievement. More than 2/3 of Canadians, 68%, say true for me, compared to less than half of Canadians in other jobs. I often have fun at work, 60% to 43%. But look at the bottom statement, everybody. Nowadays, I often feel worried. Just 17% of skilled tradespeople say true for me, compared to 42% of Canadians in other types of jobs. Why are skilled tradespeople 3 times less likely than people in other kinds of jobs to be worried or anxious about the future when it comes to their work? Everyone, I think we know the answer. It comes down to having job security and also skill security, transferable skills. I'm going to talk more about that in February when I meet with BEP Waterloo Region again. So this other happy group here, fulfilled. This is where we have educators, people who are running businesses and organization and management positions, people who work kind of all the time. They have work-life integration, but they like it. Some people like being turned on to work all the time. They get value from that, but an important driver is feeling control. So very happy group here as well. But the highlight, everyone, is what you see in the bottom left corner of that pie chart. And we can just put it really simple. Tradespeople just happen to be among the happiest workers in Canada. Isn't that interesting? And maybe some people hear that and they are a little bit skeptical. We have a phrase in research, it's the data don't lie. The data don't lie. If this is how thousands of Canadians in all kinds of jobs responded to the survey and tradespeople happen to be reporting as being very satisfied, we have to take that seriously. So back, though, to my survey of 500 Ontario parents that I introduced at the beginning when I asked parents what makes a good job, I asked them more questions, right? And before I continue, I want to take a moment just to remind everybody who's listening that if you do have questions for our other guests, Lenny and Bruce, who are the champions in your region, please put them in the Q&A. They are there to answer your questions. Please take advantage of that. So I ask parents when thinking about their children, what is very important to them in terms of a career. Now, everything is important to parents. So I ask what's very important. So when you ask parents, what do they want for their children in terms of a future career? Very important. They want their kids to be happy with their job, 87%. But where it gets, and that's obvious, but when it gets really interesting is 81% of parents want their kids to have a job where they can have work-life balance. And 78% want their kids to have a job where they have good health benefits. And 73% want their kids to be healthy and active and also have a job that is secure. And consider that. And if you know a little bit about skilled trades, parents, maybe you're seeing that and going, hold on, I'm pretty sure most skilled trades careers address all of these things that parents consider to be very important. Some open-ended responses from parents here. I think you should also, it's worthwhile to see this here. Gig work is not an option. I want my kids to have a secure job. The importance of job stability and the ability to work independently. Having an essential job is an important consideration now. I would like my child to have a job that they will not lose during a crisis. Very interesting that we hear that from parents. And yet, when you ask parents, though, what do you expect your child to do after high school? 47% say, I expect my child to go to university. 23% say college. That's a total of 70%. And just 10% say apprenticeship. Isn't that interesting? There is a term that you might have heard before. There are many kind of different definitions, but I like this one. The term is cognitive dissonance. And that is when we have this uncomfortable state of mind when you have conflicting beliefs about the same thing. I have, cognitive dissonance. Maybe when I say that I care about the environment and not polluting, and yet I will order things from Amazon to be delivered to me on a truck, when I could probably just walk to a store and get it myself. Cognitive dissonance. We tend to say maybe we shouldn't drink too much sugar, but then we say, oh, we only live once, what's the harm in it? So we have these conflicting beliefs. And I think with many parents, there is this cognitive dissonance, this conflicting beliefs when we think about different pathways and the cost of education after high school. So the average tuition debt at graduation from college in Ontario is $16,500. And from university, it's $30,000. Right. And when you ask parents, you can sort of follow along with this chart I'm going to show you here, and in regard to their opinions about tuition in Ontario. Let's keep in mind, though, that student loans are keeping people trapped in student debt. These are headlines, right? These are headlines from CBC Radio. And we have student debt as a major barrier to home ownership for young Ontarians. And you have nearly half of insolvencies last year were filed by millennials. This is really interesting because, by the way, insolvency means that you're unable to pay your bills on time. And a lot of the reason for this, for young people being trapped, is frankly dealing with significant tuition debt. So when you ask parents here how they agree with statements related to tuition, 92% of parents will say they agree that tuition costs are too high. 81% agree, this is Ontario, parents, that they may need to financially support their child into adulthood. 74% of parents agree that tuition is a serious concern for me and my child. But look at that bottom, everyone. That's really interesting. This is where the cognitive dissonance comes in. Just over half of parents agree that tuition costs are worth it in the end. And yet, after high school, I expect my child will go to college or university, says 70% of parents in Ontario, compared to just 10% of those who say apprenticeship. Now, when I ask parents of university-bound children, I ask them, describe your children. Tell me about your children. More than half of parents of university-bound kids will say that their child is interested in math and science, that they have problem-solving skills, they have excellent hand-eye coordination, that they enjoy outdoor activities, that they are creative and artistic. And for anyone here who knows anything about skilled trades, you're already thinking to yourself, there's some cognitive dissonance here too, right? Because there's university traits also happen to be skilled trades traits too. So we have this conflicting beliefs that skilled trades and university traits, they're separate, but they also overlap. There are many in skilled trades who apply math and science, problem-solving skills. They get to apply hand-eye coordination. They get to be outdoors and be creative and artistic through discipline in their skill. So there are 4 areas of the skilled trades, parents, and Lenny and Dave can talk more about this, but just at a high level, they have motive power skilled trades, for example, auto body and collision damage repairs, automotive service technicians, truck and coach technicians, marine engine technicians. There are services skilled trades where you have a lot of variety, like chef, sous chef, hairstylist, horticultural technicians, even child development practitioner, child and youth worker, early childhood educator. Those are included in the services skilled trades. There are more than 140 skilled trades, and they're broken out in 4 areas. So the first, as you heard, was motive power. This is services. Next, we have industrial skilled trades. We have tool and die makers, hydraulic pneumatic mechanics, industrial electricians, industrial welders, and many more in industrial skilled trades, very well-paying careers as well. And also massive area of opportunity, the construction skilled trades, right? We'll have general carpenters, loader operators, tile setters, insulation installers. All of the little thumbnails that you saw on the screen are just a sampling of interviews that I've conducted with young people across the province. I'm going to give you access to those videos when I'm finished. I really encourage you to hear from young people in the skilled trades in their own words, talking about why they got into it and why they're satisfied. So there is, however, when you see those pictures of happy workers in skilled trades and when you watch those videos, there's something that kind of challenges our mindsets, because we think that a good job is one where you're working smarter, not harder. And, skilled tradespeople, it sounds like in many cases they're working hard. And you know what? It sounds nice to say work smarter, not harder, because it rhymes, right? I've stopped saying this. I can tell you why. The more we say work smarter, not harder, everyone, I think the more we devalue hard work. And I hope you'll agree. If you think about someone you really admire, maybe it's a hero of yours. There's a good chance it's an athlete, or a writer or a musician or a business person or an activist, whoever that person is that you really admire and others really admire that person too. One of the qualities we probably admire most is that that person worked hard to get to where they were. And so instead of saying work smarter, not harder, how about we recognize that excellence is in doing both, working smarter and harder. And for the many young people that I've met in skilled trades, by working smarter and harder, they're advancing quickly, they're making more money, they're also starting their own businesses, some in their 20s, and parents, they're making their parents really proud along the way. And yes, some of them had parents that are maybe a little skeptical or unsure about their child's decision to enter the skilled trades. All of that is behind them now when they see how their children are flourishing. So a career in the skilled trade starts with an apprenticeship, right? An apprenticeship, you heard that word several times, and that can start in high school. And one of those programs is the Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program, where you can hear more about that after I'm finished. I learn about that from Dave and Lenny, but I'll just show you some video clips and also talk about 5 reasons to support apprenticeship pathways if your child is considering it. So one reason to support apprenticeship pathways is that you get work experience, okay? And a great way to distinguish a young person in terms of their work experience from others is through an apprenticeship, because the common type of work experience for young people today is folding clothes, right? Serving coffee, working a cash register. You have young people in high school, 15, 16 years old, getting technical advanced work experience. I want you to hear in one clip I want to show you here from 3 young women. They're on their Motive Power apprenticeship. And just listen to them talk about the benefits that they feel they're getting from working in their apprenticeship and getting a different kind of work experience. Okay, this is the first clip I'm going to show you.
At my apprenticeship as an electrician, we test wire connections and voltages, troubleshoot electrical issues, and wire electronic components.
I'm currently working in the wood mill, and a lot of what I'm doing right now is just observing different types of work, different machines, how they work, how to use them safely, and all aspects of carpentry.
What I like most about my apprenticeship is the learning experience. I've learned a lot of things that I would otherwise never get the chance to learn in a classroom setting, and it's been a really unique experience.
Great. I love hearing that, learning something that we would otherwise not learn in a classroom setting, a unique experience. And that's from young people, 15, 16 years old. It's incredible. Another reason to support apprenticeship pathways, parents, is that young people get hands-on learning. When I ask young people, put up your hand, instead of maybe more memorizing and repeating and reciting, your preferred style of learning is sort of to touch and tinker and figure things out. Everybody, like more than half of the class will put their hands up now. I think that's saying something. The pendulum has swung from one direction to the other. We're spending so much time on screens, spending so much time seated in one place, and that many young people are wishing that they could have more tactile experiences, and yet more of the learning is online and seated in front of a screen. Well, in skilled trades, of course, it's hands-on learning, right? And that's a huge benefit for young people. They get that opportunity in skilled trades. So I want you to hear from two young people on their Ontario Youth Apprenticeship placements, okay, in high school, talking about the benefits they get of learning and working with their hands. Here we go. This is my second clip.
The thing I like most about being an apprentice is you get to do both. You not only get to stand back and watch the mechanics, but you also get to be with them. You get to stand beside the mechanic and learn how they're doing it. You get to learn information that isn't in your textbook. You get to learn hands-on material that no one can teach you but a mechanic.
One interesting thing about the trades is the variety of work that I get to do, from the type of material I work on, the tools I use, or the jobs I'm doing. Every day there's something different, and I'm always working on something new.
So I really want to just say something about this benefit of every day there's something different. Every day there's something new. I said earlier, for anyone who arrived a little later, you know, that phrase sort of sitting is the new smoking, right? And consider the fact that more and more careers today involve constantly being in one place for long periods of time. And the more we engage in that, and the more that continues into one's 20s, 30s, and 40s, the more we cannot escape the fact that there are going to be doctor's visits in that person's future. How can it go any other way? But many people will say, I'll just get a treadmill and I'll use it after the sitting. As it turns out, people after sitting for 9 hours, they don't want to go on the treadmill. They use the treadmill to hang laundry, right? And what happens when we sit for 9 hours? If you or someone you know has that type of job, we don't necessarily feel like our batteries are being recharged and we want to take on the world. What ends up actually happening is people feel more tired, and then they rest by going and lying on the couch, lie on the sofa. And from there, they end up feeling more tired, and then they go to sleep and they wake up and they repeat. Imagine that throughout their 20s, their 30s, their 40s. How is it going to go for those individuals' physical health and mental health as a result? We have to start facing facts. It's not going to be good news. One benefit that I've discovered of skilled trades careers is that the routine, the movement, the activity is built in. You get to be physically active. You get to have variety. You get to go from place to place. You get to have chains, and you don't have to be seated in the same place, same screen, same cubicle, day after day after day. A great reason to be supportive of apprenticeship pathways and keep skilled trades on the table, parents. Everyone, another reason to support apprenticeship pathways is that young people have mentor support. This is something that more and more young people, as I mentioned earlier, wish that they had. Well, they do get it on an apprenticeship. So you have Daniel here. He is mentoring Julia. Julia is the apprentice. And in the future, Julia, she's going to have apprentices of her own. She will be the mentor. One of the biggest sort of, not surprises, but sort of refreshing, you could say, statements that I hear from tradespeople is how much they do value this notion of passing down what they've learned to the next generation. And it is through teaching, also not only in a classroom, but in a hands-on way, the young people get that experience. And when you learn from a mentor, when you learn how to fail, and when you make mistakes and you improve the next time, that builds one's character, right? And you don't have someone always telling you how great and good job every time, everything you do is perfect. You learn things sometimes after failing, and you make mistakes and you improve. And I think we need a lot more of that today to build up the character of our young people. And that's something that they definitely get in skilled trades experiences. The fourth reason to try out an apprenticeship, everyone, is that young people also get to learn how to run a business. Now, more and more young people today, I've heard, want to be able to run a business. They want to be their own boss. There are also those who work for others, and then they discover that they want to be the boss themselves. And that's something that many, I'm sure, can relate to, those who are watching here as well. I want you to hear from two people who were apprentices at one time in their high school in Ontario. And then they graduated from their high school and then continued with their apprenticeship, became certified in their skilled trade, and then started their own businesses and are now hiring students as apprentices from their school board. Full circle, incredible. And I also want you to hear from two young women who are inspired by the opportunity to be successful in a business and want to have a business in skilled trades. I'll say more about business opportunities after I show you this clip. Here we go.
When I was in high school, the apprenticeship program taught me a lot of things like patience, perseverance, and risk-taking. Now that I have my own business, I decided to partner with OYAP because I think it's a great way to get the students out of the classroom and into the workforce.
All through high school, I was very hands-on mechanical. I took auto body and automotive, did a co-op program in each. I found that automotive was more interesting to me, found that that was my direction in the trades, and started an apprenticeship right after high school. As an employer, we partnered with OYAP to bring youth into our trade. I feel that the trade needs young people being injected into it, and at that time this is the best way to bring people out of school seamlessly into our apprenticeship programs.
What made me interested in the skilled trades was the opportunity to start your own business and to be financially free at a younger age.
I love the people I'm working with and I'm learning something new every day. What I hope to do in the future is have my own women's masonry company where I can teach women the craft but also introduce girls into the trade.
I love hearing these stories coming right out of Ontario school boards. And that's Celeste, who you heard at the end there. That young woman, I think I interviewed her. She was 22, 23 years old. She arrived for her interview with me as a brick and stone mason apprentice in a BMW, right? Sometimes I pick my jaw up from off the floor and I forget that skilled tradespeople at an early age can have some disposable income too and afford some nice, you could say, toys. But what I wanted to say about business opportunities, the opportunities for entrepreneurship, for a business to be successful, there has to be a need for what that business is offering, right? And open any news article and it will tell you that there is a demand for skilled tradespeople in a variety of different type of specializations. So when you can address that need, you don't have to worry that hard about trying to chase after business. The business can come to you. And for a young person who might have an entrepreneurial mindset, it's not, it's a great idea to keep the skilled trades on the table, but thinking how they could apply that business mindset, that entrepreneurial mindset with skilled trades, right? But also having a tactile type of skill that they can translate into teaching other people how to develop their skills, train them and employ them, or also just sharing their expertise and hiring other experts and becoming an owner. It's really impressive what can be done when you have a skilled trades background and be a successful entrepreneur. There are many examples of that. And a final reason here to support apprenticeships, everybody, is this benefit of earning while learning. So I said earlier, I'm not a fan of that phrase, work smarter, not harder, but I do like this one here. Earn while you learn, earn while you learn. And young people can earn while learning in an apprenticeship, in a registered apprenticeship. It can happen in high school. You can have people earning money while they are going to class and while they're being trained. And that can continue after they complete high school when they complete their apprenticeships. So going back to this slide that I showed you earlier about the average tuition debt in Ontario at graduation, $16,500 from college and $30,000 from university. And more than half of Ontario graduates will have some significant tuition debt. And you know what? People just deal with it. Maybe some parents are dealing with it right now. Or maybe you know someone who has a lot of tuition debt after graduation and they are living at home maybe longer than the parent expected that they would. And by the way, that's not just in Ontario, it's across Canada and the United States, frankly, where the tuition is even higher. And that's reality now, everyone, right? And there is a big celebration, a big celebration when that graduate at some point after getting a job and chips away at the student debt, they celebrate that they have finally paid off the debt. And that's awesome, right? But it can be a long time before that happens. I really wish that more parents were aware that there has been actually for many years another pathway after high school that is just as credible, legitimate, and available as college and university, and that is called an apprenticeship, right? But the cost is much lower. I wonder, how much do you think it is per year for an apprenticeship? Everyone, the cost per an apprenticeship per year, that doesn't include college or university, is just $400 per calendar year. I mean, think about that. I know many people, and maybe you as well, who wish that they just had that information available, because you saw many video thumbnails of people on the screen today and some images, video images of young people talking who will, in a few years, be full apprentices, full skilled tradespeople after completing their apprenticeships in their early 20s, and they'll have no student debt. And I know there are many people who just wish that they knew that this opportunity was available to them, and it just hadn't been talked about previously as much. And it has, thankfully, in recent years, thanks to people like Lenny and Dave, who are going to be joining me soon. So I want you to go back to that word cloud that I showed you when I asked you, well, what makes a good job? What makes a good job according to parents in Ontario? And you could see for parents in Ontario, ultimately, they just want their kids to have one job that is paying them well and frankly is fulfilling. They just want their kids to be happy and well paid. And I showed you many types of evidence today to show you that those in skilled trades happen also to be very fulfilled and have jobs that are very well paying, in addition to offering things like security, benefits, work-life balance, and so on. So there are those pathways that your children can ask a guidance counselor about, especially in high school. There are things like a tech class in grade 9 that they can complete. There's the Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program. There's a program called Specialist High Skills Majors, dual credit, all things to talk with a guidance counselor about. I think you're going to hear more about OYAP today from Dave and Lenny. I just want to leave with you, speaking of OYAP, you heard at the beginning from those 3 young women on their apprenticeships. I want you to hear from them talking about their appreciation for the OYAP program and what that experience meant for them. And then I'm going to wrap us up. Here we go. This is my final clip.
When I started my apprenticeship, my family supported me because they knew it was the best option for me as a hands-on learner, and I've always done better in my tech classes than I did the academic ones, and the trades gives me a hands-on experience.
Overall, my friends and family were very supportive. A lot of my academic friends were a little bit confused at this decision at first, but once they saw what I do and how I work, they understood that this is the best option for me.
Thanks to OYAP, I've made so many connections, which I hope to use in the future to be able to get a full-time apprenticeship.
I'd recommend OYAP to other students because it's an awesome experience and you get to learn a lot about working in a workplace and about yourself while you're doing it.
I would recommend OYAP to other students because I think it's very important to explore all opportunities before making a decision.
Could not have said it better myself, everyone.
When I started
Everybody, youtube.com/job talks. That's your shortcut to watch all those videos there. If you go to that website, all from Ontario skilled tradespeople that I've had the honor of traveling to and interviewing over the last several years. It's been an honor being able to share time with you. I'm grateful that you'd spend your evening with us. We're not finished yet, so I'm really excited for you to hear from your champions in your local school boards. Thanks, everyone.
I just wanted to say thank you, Jon. That was a fascinating presentation, really gave us a lot to think about. I learned a lot as a mother of 3 youth myself. I know you're correct that all we really want is our children to be happy and secure and hopefully well paid. So I really loved everything that you said. So what I'm going to follow up now is what can we do with this information? How can you or your children actually start getting some experience in the skilled trades. And one option, as we've been saying all night, is the OYAP, Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program. So now joining us to share more information about this are our local school board representatives who are going to help us learn more about OYAP. They're dedicated to helping students plan their futures in our local schools. So I'm going to introduce Leonard Bombacco, Student Achievement Consultant with the Waterloo Catholic District School Board, and David Pope, OYAP Coordinator with the Waterloo Region District School Board. And they're going to tell us more about the OYAP and how it works in the local school boards in Waterloo Region. So I will pass it over to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Jennifer. So I'm David Pope from the Waterloo Region District School Board, and I'm the OYAP coordinator here. And so we've talked about OYAP a bit tonight, and most people don't necessarily know what it is or how you get into it. So we will explain that for you. So most people know what co-op is, and maybe you've taken co-op before in the past yourself. So that might be something you can relate to, where co-op is just an opportunity. So it's a course that you can take during course selection in grade 11 or 12, and as early as grade 10 summer school, actually, where you actually get to try a career while you're in high school and give you some experience in that job you think you want to do. But why spend time and money on a career after high school if you haven't tried it yet? So this is where I think co-op is probably the most valuable course you can take in high school, because you really get to try it and see if it's something you really want to do before you spend all that time and money. And so OYAP, so the Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program, is part of co-op. So it is basically co-op for those that are pursuing an apprenticeship and a skilled trade. And again, you just have to take co-op, and then once you're in that class and you're talking with your co-op teacher, or a student is talking with their co-op teacher, if they're interested in a skilled trade, then they will actually give them the OYAP participant form and kind of get them started into that OYAP program. So most co-op courses are 2 credits long. So a student taking co-op will either spend a morning or an afternoon working with a community partner, so some business within their local region, and trying that career. So the benefits of OYAP is, again, they get to try that career, try that skilled trade. In some cases, they get to legally try a skilled trade while they're in co-op. We also provide all their personal protective equipment and training. And the most important thing is that they make industry contacts. So in a lot of cases, when you're trying to pursue an apprenticeship after high school, is you don't know who to contact, what your next step is. But if you're trying a career in co-op in high school, you're making some of the industry contacts before you graduate. The other huge benefit for OYAP is that you can be signed as an OYAP apprentice while you're doing co-op. So you can actually officially start your apprenticeship during co-op and get a head start on your apprenticeship. Both school boards, so Waterloo Catholic and Waterloo Region District School Board, also have specialty apprenticeship programs, and we have those with our local trade unions. And then the other great thing for employers that are maybe looking for apprentices is OYAP apprentices don't count towards the apprenticeship ratio. So if a company already has an apprentice, they can actually take an OYAP apprentice as well, and they're allowed to do that legally. Since I know that we have some parents here or some families here with students from grade 7 to 12 or maybe even younger. So the other things that we recommend is taking as many tech courses as you can in high school. So starting September 2024, there is now a compulsory or a mandatory tech credit for all students entering grade 9 or 10 just grade 9 in September, but they can also potentially take the grade 10 instead. We also highly recommend taking your grade 12 math, and an entrepreneurship class is also really good. So as John mentioned, is many trade workers are entrepreneurs. Some people are kind of confused as after high school. So with college, university, it's kind of simplistic. Is you flip through a nice glossy book, you pick something you like, you fill out a form, and you find out what you're doing for the next multiple years. With an apprenticeship, it might be a little bit different. With an apprenticeship is there's many different pathways into that. So it could be that if you were lucky enough to find your co-op employer and get signed as an OYAP apprentice, and then you're graduating and they want to hire you, you can just continue with that employer, and you're already off to the races as an official apprentice. You can take a program at a college, and we recommend that if you're interested in a college skilled trade type program, is that those are really for those that are maybe looking for some more experience, or they want to try before they actually kind of get into that job. But that's if you've already made some connections, if you already know exactly what you want to do, maybe the college pathway is not for you. The most common is direct to work. So it's graduating from high school and either going door to door, handing out resumes, checking different job platforms online, and marketing yourself to your local community saying, I want to be an apprentice, and finding an employer willing to hire you. There's also trade unions in every region. And there's also something called group sponsors, which are basically like unionized or like unions, but for non-union placements. The other thing that we highly recommend is do your research while it's free. So while you're in school and you have all the resources available to you, so you have guidance counselors, you have teachers, we have some platforms. One's called Edge Factor that all Waterloo Catholic and Waterloo Public students have access to, which is like career videos, 3,000 plus career videos. I always call it Netflix for career videos. There's My Blueprint. And then again, just talking to those adults at the schools and finding out more information about the pathway that they're interested in. Mr. Bumbaco will follow up on anything that I missed.
Wow, that was a pretty thorough and exhaustive list. Fantastic. Thank you, Mr. Pope. Mr. Bumbaco from the Waterloo Catholic District School Board. Just a couple of things I want to reiterate. First off, you know, the apprenticeship pathway is not a straight path. It's windy, it's curvy. When life gets away, it gets into the way, things go a little crazy at times, and that's part of it. It's part of the pathway, right? So the biggest thing is at the end of all is you need an employer. OYAP allows you to explore a trade, get connected to an employer in a very safe environment. You get 2 co-op credits for high school. And you're safe, meaning you're with a high school teacher who's going to guide you through that process. Going to guide you through resume writing, going to guide you through an interview process, going to talk to the employer. So it makes for a very safe environment to learn. And what's fantastic is you may like that trade. Basically, from coming from a tech course, you explored it, you had immersive experience, and you don't like it. That's fantastic. Not knowing what you like, knowing what you don't like is just as important as knowing what you like. Maybe you get a part-time job out of it, or at the very best, maybe an apprenticeship comes your way, all done through co-op. And like Dave said, don't confuse the big fancy word OYAP. It is co-op. It's all it is. It's co-op in one of the 144 odd skilled trades. So like I encourage you to go out, talk to your tech teachers, maybe find an experience you would like to explore in the skilled trades, and we can be exposed right into the community. So networking is tough, especially in these occupations where, pounding the pavement, putting out a resume is a tough environment. Everyone, we all had our first job. I know my first job came from a friend of a parent. Friends of mine were finding jobs through friends of their own, and basically the retail jobs, working in a hockey arena and such, or working for the city in summer for horticulture, something along that line. But we knew a close family member. These positions, and yes, they're highly paid, highly sought after in some of our union positions, our accelerated union programs. You need a little bit of help, and we're here to help you. Your schools are here to help you. So use that resource. It doesn't cost you much, a couple of credits on your schedule in grade 11 and 12. So it's super important. If you go off to college and that's the route for you, because maybe you decided that you wanted to explore a different pathway for skilled trades, but then you get into it there, understand at the end of your college program, you still, in order to be licensed in the skilled trade, such as a carpenter or a plumber, an electrician, you need an employer. So again, co-op is that solution for you. So David, thank you. Touched on many key points here. So thank you for doing all of that. And right now, I know there's a couple of questions in the in the chat, there was an RESP question I saw. I think I can answer, I can help best I can on that. We do offer level 1 programs where students are dual credit programs as well in grade 12, where students would be enrolled at a college, in this case in our area, Conestoga College, taking a college course. It's called a dual credit. Level 1 trade school courses are like that, are considered a dual credit as well. They're considered a college course. You will be registered through the college and receiving a college credit. Because you're registered through the college, you could, and I'm not blessing this work, it is worth exploring with your financial advisor. If your child, or if you're going to explore a Conestoga College or college program in high school for the dual credit program, explore trying to extract funds to pay for that. I know some students were successful and tapping into their RSPs because they were registered at Conestoga College and starting post-secondary. Okay, so talk to your financial advisor if that's going to be a possibility. Going to school there, and then they will give you all the direction you need to connect with the post-secondary institution. Okay. At this point, I'm going to leave it up to some questions. There's lots of good resource links. Thank you, David, for posting that in the chat. My website's there as well. If you click on it, there's a plethora of information, not just OYAP, but also our sister program, close cousin SHSM. You can go to enroll in that program in high school, depending on the sector that your school offers. But basically, it's like you graduate with a major certification on your diploma with a red seal. If you complete a certain number of courses, co-op is in there, hence our word sister program. If you're an SHSM in one of the skilled trades, if that's what's the sector it's offered at the high school, then you're automatically an OYAP student. And there's certifications that are free and so on, but it's kind of it's a nice designation. My plug to SHSM, because, you know, when you walk off the stage in grade 12, my diploma is different from yours because I have a red seal on mine. Yours doesn't. That's because I went through a specific set of programs, certain set of courses, certifications, and I had co-op specific to that area. So all of that information you can find on my link, el.wcdsb.ca, for my Waterloo Catholic students.
There's quite a few. Want to take turns answering them? Can you see the questions in the chat?
Group them together. Yep. See if there's a.
Yeah, I can answer the one for there was a question about electricians. So the question is, I've heard of challenges securing an apprenticeship for electricians. Would you happen to shed some light on these challenges? So there's definitely some challenges for some of the trades, and Mr. Pumbaco mentioned it as well. So I kind of have a giant poster behind me, but there's this as well, and there's a link in the chat. Is what not everyone necessarily knows is that there's 144 apprenticeable trades in Ontario. So when people think skilled trades, they think of the ones they maybe have experienced or worked with or needed in the past. So electrician, plumber, maybe a millwright, automotive service technician. So the ones that they're really well aware of. There's many other trades out there that they don't necessarily think of all the time. And so they're not necessarily, I'll say, the most popular trades. But electrician is probably the first one that comes to mind when people think skilled trades. And what happens is that we have a lot of interest in that one trade, and it's kind of like flooding that specific trade. So electrician is a great example. I know our local IBW office, they have 3 intakes a year, 1 for OYAP students and 2 for post-secondary students. And they have like hundreds of applicants. There is other options as well. So there's Support Ontario Youth, which is another, they also work with the electrical trades, and there's Merit Ontario, and there's a few others that actually work with electrical. And again, there's other options out there. There's actually 3 types of electricians, and it's, again, spending some time to kind of research and figure out exactly what you want to do. So yeah, there are some issues. I would say electrician is the most popular and the hardest to get into because there's so many, but there is many other trades that you might not know about that would be of interest as well.
And a suggestion, if you're thinking about electrician, one of the key questions we get from employers is, do they have experience on a construction site or in a field? So there's a lot of gateways into these trades, and think of it as the 4 sectors. When you open the pamphlet, you'll see the first sector is motive power, so cars, motorcycles, boats, all that thing with a motor. Second is service industry, so working with people mainly, cook and hairstyling's in that group. Construction, self-explanatory, that's where electricians in that sector. And manufacturing is the last one, so that would be working in an industrial setting. I know I get calls a lot from employers. Employers know about the OYAP program. They call us requesting if you have an OYAP student, or even if you have an apprentice. We'll take a co-op student, and hopefully by the end of the co-op experience, send them on as an apprentice or give them part-time work. That comes our way. And we funnel that down through the schools to the co-op teachers. So when they have their co-op students, they talk to them and they try to connect the employer with the student. Please consider a broader breadth of it. So if I want to do welding, well, maybe a manufacturing environment where welding is there, where you get exposed to a lot of different trades, because you'll surprise yourself. There's some students we have that are plumbers. They really want to be a plumber, It's great. But I put them in an HVAC facility where there's refrigeration as well and plumbing. They say, oh, I really like HVAC, refrigeration. I like working with furnaces and coolers. Oh, and there's plumbing involved and steam. Oh, that's kind of cool. You don't know what you don't know. So asking those questions, being an advocate for yourself. Apprentices need to talk. People in school, if you want to secure and you want to network, advocate for yourself. When you're in a placement, you have the help, the cooperation and the help of a co-op teacher to help you have those courageous conversations, so you can be explored, so you can dabble into a lot of different occupations within that company, right? So manufacturing is a good place. We have Eclipse Automation you might be aware of, or ATS. They're massive manufacturing facilities, and yes, they take machinists and welders and tool and die, all of that. But they really want to start you off on the floor and give you a breadth of what they run, all their machines, and before they so you're 100% sure when we invest time in you, that's the apprenticeship for you, and it works best for you, and it's a great partnership for us. So think broad, especially at your young age. Think broad.
Thank you. Can someone answer the math question? I think we're going to go a few minutes later, just maybe answer 2 more questions. Someone's asked a question about college versus university math.
Yeah.
Mr. Vambako, I'll let you answer that one.
Anything specific about which one's more important? Give me some context around that.
It says, is there a specific math that would be recommended for in grade 12, college or university?
No, this is a tricky one. MCT math is your answer, your tech math. It's not offered at all the schools. All the schools know about it. The colleges, the deans for their programs have messaged us, or them. The employers have messaged it to us. It's the one that prepares you well, because you got to remember, when you're an apprentice on an apprenticeship pathway, yes, there's X number of hours and X number of work to be signed off on your logbook when you get signed up, but there's also 3 levels of schooling. Mr. Callegher was talking about that and the cost related to that. To prepare yourself for the schooling piece and to work in the field, the tech math is your key math in grade 12. So try to set your ducks up in a row for at least that to happen. Now, some students set their ducks up in a row and they get to grade 12, and it ends up being one of the courses that's canceled the most, at least with our board, especially with small schools. So what's an alternative? The university math is a good alternative if you can handle it. That is seen well. I know IBW likes to see 4U math for our IBW accelerated program for electricians. But the basic lowest math you want to go is MCT, the tech math at this moment. So try to get in your schedule, try to find an alternate way, talk to your guidance counselor to see where else it could be taken. But and if you can handle the higher math for this, the higher the math, the better too.
Okay. One more question. Someone's asking, do you have more success getting a college diploma first before getting into the trades, or just going right from high school? Is there anything that you can share about that?
Would you like to go, Dave?
Sure. I would say every case is different. I don't necessarily recommend the college pathway for everyone, because you're paying for your education as opposed to learning on the job while you're getting paid. So that's, I would say, one of the downfalls to it. But again, if you've had no experience or prior experience and you want to get more, then I highly recommend that pathway, because they're training you for specific trades and you might want to have some experience prior to. But if you've done co-op in high school and you were part of OYAP and you got to try it in high school, you don't necessarily need that. Now you may want to do that to have more specialties, and you might think that that is another way to market yourself. That's totally a personal preference. And it actually kind of also ties into another question that says, is there a benefit to staying a 5th year in high school to do OYAP? And so we also have specialty trade union programs where we do have students purposely stay for the 5th year, just to if they got into those programs, and they get to work with some of our local trade unions, and they basically leave the program with an apprenticeship. That's also an option, and it's really looking at those different pathway options and kind of where you see yourself and what you think fits best. My highest recommendation would be, if you took co-op and you have an employer and they're willing to sign you as an apprentice, like the sooner you can get signed as an apprentice is the best method, because that's the sooner you're starting to get paid, and every time you move up a level in your apprenticeship, you get paid more.
That's right. And look at this, even without the apprenticeship, like if they're offering you work, you know, that stay there, because that work later on, like some employers want to really see you do a lot of the soft skills. Can I can I wake up? Means can I get out of bed and not hit my snooze button on my phone? Can I actually wake up? Can I show up on time? And can I show resiliency? Can I get up when I fall? And you're gonna struggle. It's all part of learning. It's all healthy. So wake up, show up, get up. You show that to an employer, they'll keep you on and they'll pay you well. These are trades, and these are skills that are needed in the community. Mr. Pope and myself wouldn't be here asking a plethora of people to help put this beautiful evening on and talk to you about this. The government knows there is a need for skilled trades. We need people to build our roads. We need people to build our buildings, obviously, to heat our homes, fix all the infrastructure, all of that. And these are high-paying jobs, and you have a plethora of options. I had the choice of actually, becoming a teacher or continuing in my skilled trade. So there's options for that. Options being supervisor, entrepreneur. You're not always stuck doing that one job there that you were trained for. You have so many options that are open to you. Travel's open as well. I know people that have a great skill trade in Newfoundland, and they were needed in Alberta, and they were flying back and forth working for different companies out there because there was a need. I know people working up north. I know cooks on cruise ships and working in different exotic places as well. So there's lots of opportunity for you. So again, networking, getting your name out, working with an employer and trying to stay connected with them through part-time employment is really, really key as well. So
thank you. Thank you everyone for attending tonight. I am going to wrap it up. We've gone over time. I wish we had more time. But the good news is we're having another session on February 21st. So I'd like to invite everyone who's attended tonight, if you would like to come back on February 21st, it will be more geared towards students. So we encourage you to bring your student with you. It will be Jon again, but he'll just be doing a little different spin on it. So we really hope that you will come back or share it with other people so that we can have another one of these and have your questions ready. I want to thank Jon and Lenny and Dave for spending their insight and experience and giving us their time tonight to share all this information about the skilled trades and OYAP. I hope everyone has learned a lot and can now go off and continue exploring opportunities in this area. We are going to send you a short survey, which we'd really appreciate if you'd complete, the attendees. And we also have 2 in-person career expos coming up in May, which I'd like you to think about attending. One will be at the Odd and one will be at Tapestry Hall in Cambridge. A really great opportunity to bring your young person with you and talk to people in the fields of all the different industries. They're all free. So that's going to wrap up for tonight. Thank you for sharing your time. I really appreciate everyone coming. I hope you learned a lot. And thank you to our speakers. So have a great evening.